very special guest joining us. She's it's not an exaggeration. She's a legend. She's been in so many horror films, comedies. She's worked with the Fairley brothers. She is in a new documentary now, which I'm going to find the graphic for it. Where is it? Here, the documentary. It's called The Horror Crowd. And The Horror Crowd is about a group of horror filmmakers. It's about a group of horror filmmakers and kind of how they all work together. It's a lot of insight. Well, I'm surprised by how many people I know that are in this documentary. Everything from Charles de Lauzirika to Darren Bozeman, just a ton of filmmakers. Dave Parker. It's amazing. And Lin is in this documentary and she's here to talk to us about it. And also just to answer your questions. I'm so ecstatic to bring her on the show here. Wait, a couple technical things that I need to do before we bring her on. Just give me a moment here. We're going to do this. Let's do it right. Lin Shaye, thank you for joining us.
I was so worried I was going to screw it up.
Screw up what?
Anyway, so far so good. All is well. Thank you for inviting me. I love your show. I love you guys, and I appreciate you wanting to talk to me. So,
that's great. Well, first of all, thank you again. This documentary is incredibly insightful, and what's interesting is I have had the pleasure of being invited to parties where those things that where all those people are there. I don't know how they all get there, but everyone seems to know each other in the horror space, and you're part of that group. How did you get, it's one thing to actually act in films, but my experience is sometimes, you do a TV show or a movie, and once it's over, everyone kind of goes their separate ways. It's not quite necessarily true with people in the horror crowd, and you're part of that group. How did this group kind of organically evolve?
I don't know the answer to that, but you're 100% correct. It's a community that you become a part of when you enter that genre in a way, and you have, and you are a likable person, I guess. I'm sure there are people, maybe there are some people who've done horror films who are not part of the horror crowd, but Ruben Pla, who put this all together, is, how can I say, he's sort of a glue in a way to a lot of people. He's very outgoing, very smart, very loving, a very good guy, and he promotes also his kind of own brand of community. So I wasn't really surprised when he put this together, but when he came for the interview, I was really impressed with the amount of detail that and questions he asked, which were really insightful and very much a part of kind of leadership. So, my hats off to him. He has a very strong presence, not just in the horror community. He's a very, very forthright and very energetic guy who I believe will get done whatever he chooses to get done in the rest of his life. So far, so good, right?
Well, what's your secret to getting cast in so many films? You have had a career where you're just you're always working. You're just constantly being cast in things. Is it just I just going to assume you're fun to hang out with.
I hope so. I make myself laugh. During the pandemic, I've spent more time talking to myself and getting to know myself in a way I never had before, and I'm all right. I think my sense of humor, I see life in a very, not always a very positive light, but in a very ironic light. Things change so rapidly. These last 2.5 whatever years has really been, has changed the world, not just me, not just us. Not just the horror community. There's something there's something brand new that has happened that I think made us all reevaluate what's important to us. And the horror community, again, a community is a very powerful way of maintaining joy, because you have someone to talk, you have people to talk to who are of a like mind. They don't necessarily think the way you do or feel the way you do about things, but they can participate in the way you're processing your life, by sharing how they are processing theirs. And I found that very comforting, for me in particular. To be honest, I don't know why I get hired. I'm not that cute. I'm old. I mean, I have a lot of things that in some ways I guess would work against me in the traditional sense. But I love storytelling. I love good people. I even love bad people. I sort of find them really fascinating, and I'm very. I learned over these last few years, especially too, that I am very forthright. I don't lie about anything. I have no interest in telling someone an untruth. I know how to be kind when I want to be, and I know how to be nasty when I want to be, which is also something I sort of unveiled about my little Linda Shaye personality. But I love working with people. I realized being alone was very difficult for me. I didn't realize how much I need stimulation and I need to be able to express myself. And then it all sort of made sense because I'm an actress. I mean, I'm a communicator. That's what I do. And I feel that that's been very positive in getting me hired, is that I am very communicative. I'm very active more than ever in storytelling. And if there's something in a story or in a role or in two lines that doesn't make sense to me, I'm the first one to offer a suggestion. And I think people like that because I'm not pushy, but I'm smart. And I'm not that smart, but I'm a little bit smart, and I'm a Libra, so I find the acceptable way to criticize people and what they've done, and I think we all long to be monitored, but we don't want to be criticized. And there's also an approach to discussing character and story with people that's not offensive or intrusive, but that's supportive. And I like to feel that I have that quality. And I think that truly is one of the reasons. I also feel like I don't have a thing about age. I mean, I say I'm old. I don't even know what that really means because I don't feel any different. Gratefully, good health. I take very good care of myself. I love myself because I'm all I got. I mean, bottom line is that this is it. So I have a little self-destruct in me, which I think we all do as well. Somewhere there's something we feel we don't deserve, or we question our choices. But I feel that I'm a collaborator, and I think that might answer your question in one word. I think I'm a very positive collaborator.
You're getting so much love in the chat right now. I want to throw up a lot of these comments and questions from everyone watching. We've got about 300 people watching us live. So,
wow. Hi, everybody.
I
I just washed my hair. I didn't do much with it.
Oh, no. John Wheelbaker says, Lin Shaye is an icon, a national treasure. Glad for everything she has done for cinema and looking forward to more in the future. Bear Down Adam says, hey, Lynn, huge fan. You're the best. Goober says, the legend of Something About Mary. Jack D. Ripper, horror fans are the best. From New Jersey says, oh my God, I loved you in Kingpin and There's Something About Mary. Had no idea about your earlier career. Dempsey says, Lynn being in A New Nightmare really made that whole scene ultra creepy, so well paced. Eric K for 5 says, loved you in Kingpin. Jack D. Ripper has a question here. What was it like being directed by Jack Nicholson?
Amazing. That was the first real job. That was what brought me out to Los Angeles. It's a very kind of odd story, which it's too long to go into. I would love to, but I think we'll be here till tomorrow. But the short version of it is somewhere he had seen a picture. It might have been the Academy Players even. I don't really know that answer. I was living in New York. They were in New York casting Going South, which was his big directorial debut, I believe. He never directed anything before that. It was a real love project of his. And he expressed interest, just, casting director, he looked at my picture or whatever it was. And I took it upon myself to fly out to Los Angeles to meet him. I wrote him a note saying I planned to be in Los Angeles for a short visit because I knew they weren't coming back to New York. That was my proactive. That's another thing. Everybody be proactive. If you have an idea, go for it. No one's going to get mad at you. Just be kind and considerate. And I wrote a very nice note and said, I look forward to meeting you, which, was out of nowhere. And I literally came to LA and checked into the Chateau Marmont because I didn't know any better. I didn't know how much it cost for the next 2 or 3 nights, and went to Paramount and met Jack. I walked into his office, and he just said, "These are for some small roles, but there's 4 spinsters, but I could make one a parasol lady," and I was the parasol lady. And he hired me. I had one line, and it was the most exciting thing that ever happened to me, really. And I flew to Durango. I didn't know I for sure had a role. Then they said they wanted me in Durango. I was there for 2 weeks with John Belushi and Chris Lloyd and Mary Steenburgen and Veronica Cartwright, this whole famous gang of people. And, I was little Lin Shaye from Detroit. And Jack was just he was bigger than life. He is bigger than life. I still think he's the best actor ever alive, maybe. He just, and for what he does, he's just brilliant and very inclusive also. So, I was really nobody, but he came over and he introduced himself. It was a Western. And I remember he rode over on this big bay horse he had. And I was in wardrobe. I was in 1890, or what is it, 1880s, I think it is, or 1860s, in this little outfit with a little hat with strawberries on it. And up came Jack, and he just kind of took his hat off, and nice to have you here, ma'am. And he did direct me. He explained to me what MOS was. I didn't know what that meant. And it was just the one scene with Anne Ramsey. I have a picture, if I can figure out how to send it to you. It's just wonderful, of me and Anne. And it was, so to answer the question, I have a long way of answering questions. It was wonderful.
You're getting so much love here. I'll go through as many as we can. TPAC 28 says, for 10, thank you for that. Loved you in Critters 2.
Yeah.
And John Manalang says, Ms. Shaye is the reason why the Insidious series was so amazing.
Thank you so much.
That's great. And then Zane Azray says, what was it like working with Wes Craven?
Oh, I just did an interview actually 2 days ago that's all about Wes. And he was an angel and a prince. Those are 2 words that come to mind when I think of him. He was one of those beautiful men. Just very tall and truly angelic, really handsome, always was flushed. He always had so much energy coming into his face, and very kind and very quiet. And you would never in a million years think this man was a horror director or writer. He also, I think, was a classical guitarist. He was an accomplished artist. He was, I think, a painter before he became a filmmaker. Really, really a well-rounded artist. And the 2 words that come to mind are quietude. When he would give you a suggestion, or it was quiet on set. He was very... it was a very gentle time in the midst of all the horror that was happening in terms of story. So he was just the loveliest person ever.
Wow. More comments and questions. Go Party Time says, you look amazing, Lynn. Alex Jordan says,
if I do, I'm doing good, because I literally was just out of the shower.
The Alex Zorba says, great energy. What's your secret?
I love living, and I love telling the truth. And I know that's a weird thing to say, maybe. It makes me very emotional. Mm-hmm. Because there's so much mistrust, especially right now, and people are not expressing what they really feel. They're so full of fear. This is a very difficult time we're going through, I think. And more than ever, I really do value honesty and accentuating joy and joyful activities, your pets, things that make you feel good. There's too much out there. There's so much damage going on. And maybe it's always been that way. I've never been as aware of it as I've been these last couple of years in particular. But I think the key is do things you love, be with people you like. And if you can't, spend time in your room by yourself and think about good things. It's partly we run our own movie, in our head. We're inundated with the world and with all the elements of living day to day, but we create the way we experience the world. And I think that we are in charge of that part of our lives. And I think you can steer that. You're not a victim. You don't have to be a victim of anything or of anyone. I mean, there's really, it's not always easy to extricate yourself from negativity and from things that are negative around you, from things you hear. If you listen to television, the news, the media, it just will kill you in 30 seconds. I mean, there's just too much to look at that's negative. And what's scary to me is it pulls you in. Like you go, oh, I want to know more about that. And pretty soon you're down the rabbit hole with a lot of bad stuff. And I think be careful of that. I think be your own bus driver. Take a quick left turn and get the hell out of there. and so you have more control over the way you experience the world than you think. We are not victims. We're bus drivers.
More comments. Spaceman says, "Hi Lynn, love hearing your stories. You're great in Kingpin. Love that movie." And Aid Robertson, thank you for your super chat. Lynn was great in Detroit Rock City. Yes, you worked my friend Adam Rifkin.
Adam is the best.
I've known Adam. He was one of the first filmmakers I ever met when I moved to LA in '89. He is a sweetheart. Always wears that dark, blazer.
And his hat.
And the hat. Just to this day. He looks the same. It's so funny, but like he's great. It's such a great creative person. And Jamin D for 20, thank you for that. Oh my God, Sally, if I can ask, and if you remembered how was it like working with Wes in Critters? I have to say that is one of the most fun horror movies I've ever seen. Love you.
Now Wes didn't do Critters.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the comment.
No, it was Stephen Herrick. Stephen Herrick and then Mick Garris. Or at least the two that I did. But to answer your question, we adore Wes. We already went. Yeah. Wes was wonderful.
How was it like working in Critters? Sorry, I read that wrong.
Oh, okay. I'm typing. It was really fun. Actually, that my brother Bob Shaye, who really was a mentor. I mean, he used to always embarrass me because he would introduce me. I was like I was shorter than him, but that wasn't. I'm also his little sister. And he would introduce me. This is Linda Shaye. I use Lin Shaye, which is my name also, but Linda is my birth name. So Bob would introduce, this is Linda Shaye. She wants to be an actress. That's how he used to introduce me. I would just disappear into the crowd. And yet when they did Critters, it was Bob who said, see Lynn for this role. And so Stephen Herrick directed the first one. And it was just, we came up with that crazy image of this woman. That was in hair and makeup. I can't remember the name of the makeup artist who did the show. I wish I did, because she was sort of my counterpart. We talked about what should we look like, or what do you want to do, and maybe I should have we should do red hair. Let's do a 30s thing. So we created this woman with big red lipstick, and in the middle of some little podunk town in Texas. Because we had Emmett Walsh playing Harv, and he was so great, by the way. I mean, he is still great. But he would say, suppose you want to run the lines. And we would run the lines. He'd say, I suppose you want to run them again. And we would run them again. And he kind of shepherded me through the scene. And it was, so we really created that woman, as we were working on her. And again, Bob he was the one who led me into the show. And then of course I got to do the second one, but not enough is ever said about Bob Shaye. I even though he's my brother, he really was a forerunner of Hollywood in more ways than you can imagine. When you think of the careers he spawned, both directors, producers, actors, I mean, he doesn't toot his own horn, but in my mind, nobody toots it loud enough. I mean, he's really been a wonderful support of many, many young filmmakers and artists. So if it wasn't for Bob, I don't know, maybe I would have gotten a part, but he gave me opportunity. And that's the other thing. If you're given opportunity, take it and do with it the best you can.
Question here, comments. Fletcher Williams says she is glowing. And John Wilbecker says, true wisdom, your perspective is what we need more of in life. And Luther Talbert says, towards the end of my late mom's battle with cancer, we watched the Insidious movies. It was her and still mine and my son's favorite series. We love you.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that really does mean a lot to me. That role means and has meant a lot to me, of course, as well. I mean, I've meeting James Wan, which was also, everything is, it's like when wonderful things happen, it's good to trace back and see where did that come from? Because often it comes from something you think, I shouldn't have done that, or why did I do that? And you got to recognize that you make positive choices, even sometimes when they seem like negative choices, but to just stay in the center of your lane. Again, you're that bus driver. Make sure you stay right straight ahead and keep your eyes ahead of you. And it was, Insidious was sort of, I had no idea it was going to take me as far as it did, but come up with your ideas. If you're an actor, always feel comfortable to initiate your thoughts and ideas, however much participation you have. These are little clues, I think, which led me to success, which I didn't even know, but I kind of got from my mom and dad, I guess, who are like, you can do it, and if no one tells you you can do it, you tell yourself you can do it, because you can. And you will.
Another question here from Dempsey. Was it difficult to keep a straight face while filming the Dumb and Dumber films?
Yes. And actually, I have a cute story about that with Something About Mary. The scene where the dog is kissing me. That just happened. The dog just started kissing me. I think it was really about the makeup, that the dog wanted the latex because I had all that crap on my face. And people started laughing so hard, and the dog is licking me, and I had some lines, and Cameron was laughing so hard she was crying. And I thought to myself, don't break, because the whole crew was like this. And I thought to myself, don't break character, stick with it. Because if you lose this, you'll never have it again. Right. And so that's a key. You can't let it crack you up. Let it crack up everybody who's watching you, but don't let it crack you up when you're on camera. Follow through, because that's the gold. And that's what Pete said when he came running out after the dog had licked a hole in my makeup. He said, that's cinema gold. He said, that's what that is. And it is. I mean, that's still the scene. I have pictures of it all over my house, Puffy licking me. So, and then Dumb and Dumber, those guys were, I mean, Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey are just, I don't think there'll ever be a duo like that again. It's better than Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis even. They were just hilarious together.
We have more questions here than, I don't know how much more time we have. I know we talked about going for 20 minutes, but if you're willing to stay, we've got some more questions.
I'm willing, and if I'm talking too much, you can cut me off anytime too. I mean, I
don't think I'll do that, but
okay. We're not going to do that.
No, not at all. But Patrick Lemire, do you still have to audition at all?
That's a very interesting question. I just got there's a film that's shooting, I guess, that I would love to be a part of, and they wanted me to self-tape, and I won't do it. First of all, I don't do well self-taping. I mean, that's a whole thing. You got to be a filmmaker to do that correctly. Find somebody to read with it. And I go, you know what? I've been an actress 52 years. I got my equity card in 1971. So 51 or 52. And I have a lot of footage they can go look at if they want to see if I'm right. I would always be happy to, because now with Zoom, with all the Zoom opportunities, if you want to have a Zoom call with me and talk about the role, talk about the character, I will read for you on camera while you're there, and you can direct me and explain to me what you might want or don't want. I'm 100%, I'll do that till forever, but I'm not going to do a self-tape, or I just don't want, or I feel like it's humiliating. Steven Spielberg would never ask me to. If he asked me to, I would. But I just feel for beginning actors, it's a great tool. And especially now with the self-taping, that's a whole skill unto itself. I mean, you really have to have a scene partner, someone reading the lines like, okay, you're in the show now. And then you go, oh yeah, I'm in, I mean, it's bullshit. I mean, to me, it doesn't it doesn't show anything. It just shows if you're a good technician, if you're able to pull things together, you know, it shows other aspects of you, but not what you would give to the character. I did a series last fall, which is called right now Ellen Cole, The Last Stand of Ellen Cole. I don't know. It hasn't been sold yet. They're still working on it. But those guys, they were two guys from Canada, and it wasn't an offer. I mean, I gratefully get a lot of, you know, offers, and that's wonderful. But it wasn't an offer, but they wanted to talk to me. So I was nervous. I went through the script. I went through all the things I wanted to express about what I thought about the character. And it was great. I mean, we met each other. We had a real conversation, and we really talked about the story. Then I read for them a little bit. Fine. I'm so good with that. And I got you know, they wanted to hire me gratefully. And I was in Canada 2 months doing the show. But just to go audition and stand there like an idiot anymore, I can't do it. And it doesn't make you an idiot to do it, by the way, but for me, it makes me feel like an idiot.
I just think, isn't there enough tape of you already? I mean, like, look at you in so many movies. And speaking of that, from North Jersey asks, wow, Lin was in Brewster's Millions with John Candy, Richard Pryor, and Detective Briscoe from Law and Order. I had heard Candy was a great guy to be on a movie with. Any stories about Brewster's Millions?
Not really. I was just, you know, when you have a role like that, it was a very small role. I think I have like a couple lines only, but you don't really get to interact with anybody other than who's in the scene with you. I never met John Candy. Or, you know, it's not like that where you all get together and everybody meets each other and has an opportunity to talk to each other. It's pretty isolated when you come in for a small role. You know, they take you to your trailer or wherever, hair or makeup, you get into your thing, you're on set. Maybe you get to talk, you know, Richard Pryor was there, but I really never met anybody. I probably met the person standing next to me in the scene, and that was about it.
Yeah, I have a question about the horror crowd is pretty much a celebration of the horror community. And I'm just curious, has that changed a whole lot today, especially after the pandemic? You know, is the community as tight as now? Because I feel like in other genres and other fandoms, it's starting slowly to become much more toxic. I feel like horror is the one that really binds people together.
Yeah, I don't feel, other than going to big parties, which I used to enjoy, and I'm going to go to Halloween Horror Night at Universal, and I'm a little nervous about going. I mean, people are still getting sick, and I'm going to get my new booster. I don't want to catch this. I haven't had it, and I'm very grateful I haven't. Because yes, it can be just a cold, but I have a couple friends who got heart problems from it, who have respiratory problems that are using inhalers. You don't know how it's going to affect you. So in terms of the physical community, we are still sort of, I mean, some of us are still being a little more vigilant than ever before. There are people who have sort of, it's over, we're done, you know, and they're also 30 years old, or, you know, they're, or they've had it a couple times, you know, no big deal. But I think that the community has stayed tight, whether it's through just, you know, social media or, you know, just mostly through social media and through sort of contact with, you know, calling each other or checking in. And I really love that Ruben put this together, and now it seemed like such a great time to release it because of all this sort of separation that we've been experiencing. So, but I think the community is as tight as ever, and I don't think that will change. And I think that is unique to the horror community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Fletcher Williams asks, what would you say to a young actor wanting to break into the industry?
Don't give up.
Good.
Really. I mean, and use your imagination. You know, listen, if I sent Jack Nicholson a note saying, P.S., I plan to be in Los Angeles for a short visit in a week, and he said, sure, I'll meet her. I mean, use your, be bold, be courteous, and don't give up. Those would be my.
Another question from Jack D. Ripper. You worked with so many icons. What was it like being directed by Walter Hill?
Oh, I loved Walter. I was in 4 movies with him, and they were all small roles, but I loved Walter. I haven't seen him for years. I saw him just momentarily at a Saturn Awards, probably now about 4 or 5 years ago. and we just I just went over and said hello. And of course, he was sort of holding court. Everybody was coming over to him. So I didn't really have much time to chat with him. But I met him through James Keach when they were doing The Long Riders. And I knew James from New York. We were in the actor studio, and we were in plays together in New York. That's the other thing. Do theater, guys, if you can. It's so much fun, and you learn so much. So that was sort of the early roots for me. And that was how I knew Jimmy. And then when we came out here, he said they were doing a Western. And I remember I went to meet Walter. This was bold. I was wearing cowboy boots and cut off jeans, like shorts, and a little T-shirt with a lion on it. And I went in and I kind of strutted into his office. I was feeling very good about myself. And, I was just, hi, and he gave me this little part of playing a prostitute in The Long Riders. And there's a very nice moment where I'm dancing with Randy Quaid, actually. And I think I only have a line or two. And everything I did with him was very small. It was a teller at I think a bank teller. They were not really auspicious roles, but what I always felt is he wanted me there. He was inviting me to the party. And so I still, to this day, hold him in very high regard. And I think he's a brilliant filmmaker.
We have so many questions. I'll do the best because we could take up your whole afternoon with all these questions. But John Manaling asks, having worked with the great James Wan, what do you think sets him apart from other horror film directors?
It's a good question. James, I met James. He came to my house with a friend to a party. And there's a movie I did called Dead End, I think in 2002 or 3 or something, with Ray Wise it became a favorite of a lot of people. And it's oddly a very popular film. I mean, not oddly, but it was never promoted, or it was really fans that found that movie. And so James was a fan, and he wanted to meet me. He and Lee had just come here, they had done Saw, so they'd been here for a while. But they were still, trying to make it happen, trying to get their new stuff going. And so he came to my house with my friend, Tim Sullivan, who's actually a wonderful director also, and who I did several movies with. And he's not a great, they weren't best friends, but they knew each other. So I gave him a copy of Dead End. And then about a couple weeks later, he called me and said, we have a script. Lee and I have a script. We don't really know what it's going to be called. There's a character in it, a psychic, if you'd like to take a look at it. So he sent over Insidious. And I remember I read it in bed, and Lee has this way of, Lee Winnell is one of my favorite people on the planet. And he's so talented, everything he does. And the script, he would change font when it would get scary. Like the font would get, ooh. And so I remember reading it in bed. I can't remember what section it was, but it creeped me out. And so at the end, I finished the script, and I thought, oh, that was good. And Elise talks a lot. That's for sure in that first movie, because she's the one who really sets up the whole criteria of the further. She sets up the universe that then we lived in for the rest of the shows. But I put it downstairs in the closet because I didn't want to sleep with it next to me. And I called James, and he is the most unassuming. He's the most positive, unassuming, problem-solving person I know. And he's just, he's very single-minded. He's got an incredible mind. And he does it, and nothing is broadcast. You don't really know. It's all churn. It's all in there. It's like a camera. I mean, his mind is going, and his visions are going like very visually, and he's hearing scenes. I think probably hearing scenes in his head. And when we shot the first Insidious, we had no idea that it was going to be anything. Is that it? Are we done?
No, that was just a.
No, sorry, not me.
Oh, but anyway, I will try to answer the question a little shorter. He's a very quiet, as far as when I've worked with him, very quiet, very specific. He never gave me any acting notes. I think he gave me one once because I said something that was funny, and he said, we can't have a laugh there because there's a scare coming right after. So that was about the only, and the rest he sort of leaves for him. He's a cinephile. I mean, he's like a lens. He sees things through this very complicated camera of his own mind, and obviously has gone on to make these giant films, which I can't even fathom how he directs these movies. Aquaman, I don't know what number is coming, and he's a genius. I think James and Lee are geniuses, both of them, in terms of what they do, and I don't use that term lightly.
Some more comments here. The writer's room. Hi, Lynn. You are my favorite cast member on American Cowslip. Love the pick. Love the pick I have of you and Diane. You, Diane, and Cloris. You are a sweetheart, Charlie.
Thank you.
So, yeah. And then the film philosopher says, Lynn, did your work in the Insidious film change your views of the supernatural? Have you had any experiences with the supernatural?
Yes, I have. I'm never sure how to even discuss it, because there's so many things. It's also coincidence. There's so many different elements that make things happen that seem like they could be supernatural, or they may all be supernatural. I think we know nothing about anything. That's the way I look at life, and that anything is possible. And I don't think Insidious change. I'm not fearful. I probably shouldn't say it too loud because they're all listening. then there's that, you go, I don't know. We know energy is real. We know you can't see music. There's many things we can't see that are there. So who am I to say, oh no, there's no such thing as, and wouldn't it be cool if there's all these worlds other that we can possibly uncover later? Then I always wonder, if you don't believe, you never find them. You have to believe to be able to find them. And that just gave me chills. So I think it's important to keep open-minded. That's probably the best advice.
And there's so many comments. I don't know how much longer you can stay, but maybe.
I'm good. I'm good. What time? I'm good. Okay,
right now, good. So. Solomon Thornton says, you have a great personality. What do you consider a great horror film? That might be difficult to answer.
I don't have an answer for that, because I think we all experience things through our own lenses and our own experiences. So I think what's scary to some person is not scary to another. And the simplest thing, some people are afraid of dogs, so there's something with a dog that would be the worst thing that could ever happen to them to be, so I think it's a very individual experience for everybody.
Were you a horror fan going in, or did you just kind of get into it because of the work you were getting?
I was not a horror fan. I'm a story fan. I mean, but I don't love being. I mean, people seek being frightened. They like that,
like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it's cool. I mean, every experience is a learning experience. It's not always positive, but you figure out something new. If you're really afraid of something, it's kind of important to experience a part of it so you can maybe figure out why. Being afraid is not so much fun. I mean, I'm not a very fearful person, so I was never really. I'm not scared of scary. Oh, I watched The Fly again last night. The old Jeff Goldblum. Oh my God, I forgot. David Cronenberg is one of my favorite directors. I saying this out loud. I hope to work with him someday in my life. I just think he has such a crazy, extreme perspective on humanity. I mean, because that's what it boils down to. It's the way it affects. I mean, watching that disintegration of Jeff Goldblum, I forgot how scary that was. That was a scary movie. And I forgot what I got into. Oh, but so horror is, I think it's not something I sought out or I stayed away from. I kind of go into things pretty, well, let's see what it is. I kind of go in a little bit neutral. And so my fear factor often happens. I'm not a fearful person. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not careful some of the time, but I probably should be more careful than I am some of the time, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's go see what that is. My manager will say, we're not going over there. So my manager, who I adore, who's truly one of my best friends, her name is Gina Rugolo, but we've traveled together. We've been to Asia together. We've done so much stuff. She kind of keeps me safe because I kind of like, oh, well, let's go over there. So I'm not a fearful person.
Another question here. John Witchboy asks, if you had to get rid of a body, which horror filmmaker, living or dead, would you call?
Oh my God. Wes Craven.
Oh, good.
And I'll probably get an answer.
Dempsey says, can you tell us what it was like for you to be named the godmother of horror? What it meant to you personally?
And it's huge because it's a community of people who I will never meet, who I have somewhere ignited, not just touched, but sort of ignited on some level that I'm unaware I've done. And so to be given, I actually have, where's my little trophy? I have a little godmother of horror. You want to see it? Want to see the
Yes, let's see it.
It's right
It's
here.
great. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Godmother of horror. And we'll get to some, we have some other chat non-Lin related questions, but we'll get to those before the end of the show. This is amazing. Where did you get that? I
was given it at it was in Philadelphia, I believe, and it was the Wizard World.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it's really heavy. It's glass. And it's, I mean, I have an Emmy. I mean, I have these things that I go, where did they come from? I have the boobs from Something About Mary. Would you like to see them?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we do. Wait. So that could be a murder weapon, practically.
Well, an Emmy could kill you too.
This could kill you.
I know both of those. Both of those.
Oh my God! Wait, we're about to see. Okay, preparing everyone in the chat. The boobs from There's Something About Mary.
Now, as long as she doesn't put it on.
Lin Shaye. Wait, can we show that?
I think as long as we don't put them on.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see these. I might have to.
Okay, yeah, maybe hold up over the. Oh my. Okay, all right. Wait, we might not be able. Not so close. Not so close. No. Wait. We're gonna have to. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my God. We're in trouble.
Wait, and it says, I have a little thing. The plaque says, Magda's boobs. There's Something About Mary, 1998.
All right.
And I had them on the show.
My
and then
God.
I took them off and I threw them in the garden, because it was the end of the day, and they're on actually a leotard. They were put onto a black leotard, and you only see me with the shirt open in the window. There's that one scene. Right. And I thought I should keep these, and I bet they're worth more than my house.
Probably are.
I don't know how we're going to top that. I'm
coming back.
Oh my God. All right, let's get to one.
Yeah. Can we make a short out of that?
Last question.
We could wrap it up on that probably.
Yeah. Not the Batman says it's worth a strike, Chris. And then this will be oh God, I'm trying to look for a good button question. Wait, did we get to that one? That would be no. I just gotta say, Shelby ACS, hi Lynn, you worked in so many genres. Is it true comedy is harder than drama? What's your favorite type of project to do? And that we'll leave it at that, because I don't think we're not going to top the boobs from.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, good.
Wait, would you repeat the question? Yeah, I was still lost in my boobs.
Yes, Shelby ACS, Island, you worked in so many genres. Is it true comedy is harder than drama? And what's your favorite type of project?
I in terms of type, it's really just a good story. I love all genres. I'm interested in all genres. I don't I don't have a favorite, like, I mean, I really just like good storytelling. Tell me, I'm sorry, I still really was in the boobs. So the first,
Yeah, like what's your favorite type?
my favorite,
Horror,
whether it be
comedy,
comedy or
drama?
comedy or
Yeah.
horror. I don't have a favorite. I mean, I really, I think comedy is not really harder. I have very good timing, which is sort of like, it's like being a good musician. And I mean, some people don't have good timing. And there's something, and I know I do. And I've got, so rhythmically, I understand how, I kind of understand how to make something funny if I have to make it funny. Um, it's kind of like a dance. I mean, it's like dum ba dum bum bum bum. There's a real rhythm to the storytelling and to the punctuation of the comment of the line. If it's just a line that's funny, so I don't find one harder than the other. What I find hard is if the story is not working, and I can't really, and it's not up to me to fix it, because I want to always. Now I'm at a point now where if it's not working, I can't just plow through. It's too uncomfortable. So I feel like what's really hard is when you have to do what's in front of you and you have to make it work. And sometimes it's really difficult to find the key when it's not well written, or the timing is off, or the story doesn't quite fit together, or I wouldn't do that because look what I just did. And there's only a certain amount of dialogue you can have depending on what's your position in the film. When you're just kind of a hired gun, you have to find the diplomatic way, and you have to be careful because there's real egos involved in acting, and then on a film set, not everybody's receptive to even the right answer. So it's kind of walking a little bit of a tightrope. But I always feel it's important for me to not give up what I know is correct, because after all these years, I really do understand. And often I can be talked out of it. If you say, no, here's the reason why, it's like James Wan saying, you can't be funny there because I know there's going to be a scare there. So you have to be a good listener. You have to not let go of your own ideas, and you have to be a good team player.
Lin Shaye, it's been a pleasure spending time talking to you this afternoon. I want to thank everyone in the chat for being.
Thank you. This was really, as you can tell, I'm having a very good time here.
Well, we'll have you back. And Lin, I just want to thank you for taking the time. We will have you back because I know you've got a movie coming up, but this Horror Crowd documentary is so fun. And I encourage everybody to check out the documentary. It's a blast. And it really gives you insight into how supportive and open everyone in the horror film community, film and TV community is.
Totally.
And you're an icon, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. Yeah, and this documentary is you get to hear from so many fantastic storytellers. It's totally, and everybody's talking about the same thing, but from their perspective. You will learn a lot, and you'll enjoy it a lot. It's extremely entertaining. Thanks, Ruben Pla. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Lin. It's available on VOD right now.
Right now, you can get the Horror Crowd. Lin, have a great afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye now. Wow.
Yeah, that was great.
She was amazing. Wow.
And we got the boobs. That's a